welcome back to Question in Sense with me, Matt. Today I'd like to talk to you a bit about Aventus and some of its more niche alternatives. The reason being, I have been a massive fan of Aventus over the years, but I think my love of it may be waning a little bit. I did notice that my decant, that I haven't worn in quite a while to be fair, is running quite low. I think I'm about 7 or 8 mil left of it. And I have bought over the years quite a few different decants of Aventus. I've never bought a full bottle. And the reason being, obviously, you never know what you're going to get in terms of performance, in terms of smell. Every decant I've had seems to smell slightly different. And that kind of bugs me a bit, to be honest. So the idea of spending quite a lot of money on a bottle of something, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to get in terms of smell or performance, kind of annoys me a bit. So I thought, I know what, let's have a look elsewhere and see what else is out there, because I do really like the Aventus vibe. I like the smell of it. I like the note breakdown. I like how it makes me feel, and it is definitely a crowd pleaser. Everybody likes, well, nearly everybody likes the smell of Aventus. But I was just thinking, there seems to be quite a lot else out there that's really quite interesting. So what I've done is I've amassed some decants of other alternatives that have that kind of vibe, just to see what they're like and see if they're worth sort of pursuing. Before we start though, I do have a bottle of Cedrat Boisé by Mancera, and as you can see, I wear it an awful lot. I do really like it, but I'm discounting it because to me it's not really in that. There's a you know, a small period of time where, you know, you do get a tiny bit of an Aventus vibe from Cedrat, but I don't really look at it as an Aventus alternative. I look at it as it's very much its own scent. So before we get started, I've got a few samples and decants that I've been wearing a fair bit over the last week to give me an idea of how they perform, how they smell, and whether I like them or not. But as I say, before we get into it, there's a couple of honourable mentions. One in particular, which I have worn on numerous occasions, but I don't have a decant or a sample with me today, so I'm not going to include it in the review. And that's from the French house Jeroboam, and that's Vespero, which I believe was a fairly recent release, I think 2017. I really like it. It has very much reminds me of Aventus in the opening. There's a real strong resemblance there, and it's a really clever. In some respects, it's a lot better than Aventus. It has, as I say, that kind of pineapple birchy opening, which, you know, is ubiquitous to Aventus, but it lasts forever. It's an extract, so it goes on for days. But on this long journey that Vespero takes you on, it starts getting darker and smokier and leathery, and it ends up smelling a bit like Tuscan leather, which is, you know, quite an experience. And I do really like it. If you haven't tried it, try and get a sample of it. The only problem is with it is it's very expensive, and it comes in tiny little 30 ml bottles, which, although it does last a long time, you still kind of get through it quite quickly. So it is quite a big investment. Try and get a sample of it if you can, because it is worth having a look at. The other honourable mention is Morning Chess by Wilhelm Perfumery. This I haven't smelt, and I'm dying to, so I'm going to be trying to source a sample of that. It gets a lot of love, and apparently it's a really strong alternative to Aventus, shall we say. So they're two to look out for. So that's Jeroboam's Vespero and Morning Chess by Wilhelm Perfumery. As I say, I've not smelt the Morning Chess yet, so when I do, I'll come back to you and we'll do a quick review on that as well. First up then, we have Orion from Tiziana Terenzi, and I'm actually wearing this today. This definitely has a bit of the Aventus vibe going on, a little bit more interesting, I think, and it's a really nice scent, actually. It's lovely. Basically, if we have a quick look at the notes on the Orion, there's not a lot of point holding that up, really, isn't it? It's just decant, it's not a bottle, so you don't know what the bottle looks like. We'll get some pictures of the bottle up, because the presentation from all of the Terenzi range are awesome. They have the most amazing bottles, a big weighty, you know, and a lot of presence with the bottle. So really good for you bottle collectors out there. But the top notes for Orion are bergamot, red currant, pineapple, apple, and in the mid we have patchouli, jasmine, birch and thyme. And in the base, we have incense, amber, argarwood or oud, musk, and cedarwood. Now, what you get with that, I'm going to have another little spray now just to keep it going. You get this amazing opening. It's gorgeous. definitely got that Aventus vibe going on. But what you get is you get a more complicated fruity aroma. It's the apple, the bergamot and the pineapple all kind of mushed together, and you get this real sort of deep, rich, fruity pulp like smell. The oud is there, and that gives it it almost feels a little floral, but it's not light, it's not airy. The agarwood in there keeps it to be quite a condensed sort of sensation. It's almost like you've been to a supermarket, or you've been to a fruit and veg place, and you've got this basket of overripe or just on the turn fruit, and it makes this wonderful smell that comes up. It's really quite intoxicating. It's to die for. The birch comes over it. I don't really get much incense in this, and as I say, I have worn it quite a bit, so it's not a particularly incense. I mean, it's there, but you don't really pick up, well, I certainly don't pick up on it too much. The amber, I think, just gives it a little sweetness, and the musk comes in the dry down. But I think the star of the show is a mix of fruit with the oud, and it just gives it so much gravitas. It's a beautiful set. I'll tell you what it gives me the impression of. It's like, as I say, you've got this big lump of overripe fruit sitting there, and then someone sprays some Aventus on top of it, and you get this wonderful sensation. It's really, really quite dreamy. It does last incredibly well as well. It stays on your skin for days. Well, not days, but I mean, you get a really, really good performance out of it. It lasts for about 8 hours. But interestingly with this one, it doesn't project hardly at all. In the first half hour it does, it projects quite well, and then the projection goes, but it does leave a good scent trail. The sillage, it's all about sillage and not about projection with this. The only issue I do have with it is after a while, maybe an hour or so, it sits really, really close to the skin. For that first hour, you're walking around in a bubble, and all you can smell is it, and you're oh, this is great, this is lovely, I'm really enjoying this. And then it just fades away, and you have to look for it, which is really annoying. If this was louder, I would buy a bottle tomorrow. If this had more projection, if it just sat a little bit further out, I would be all over it like a rash. It's lovely, but and the but is quite a big one. It does sit incredibly close to the skin, so I need to make a decision on that, because. And this is, I just think when you're paying a lot of money for something, I like to smell it. I don't want to have to look for it, and that also means it's probably not going to get you many compliments, and it's probably not a crowd pleaser, because people will have to be very, very close to you to pick up on it. And that's good. I mean, if you want that, and if that's what you want something that smells fantastic, and it does. It really, really does smell fantastic, and you're not worried about sort of it belting out. I mean. Then it's really, really worth considering, and I strongly recommend you get a sample or a decant of it and spend some time with it. I mean, when you have a small sample, you don't really understand what the scent's like to live with. It's nice to get a first impression and maybe a couple of wearings, but I recommend sort of trying to get a slightly bigger decant, maybe 5ml, 10ml, something like that, and then you can come back to it. Because what I've done in the past is I've got a small sample of something and I wear it to death, and then a couple of weeks later I kind of forget what it's like. At least if you've got a bit more, you can come back to it over a period of time and give you a better understanding of what the scent's going to be like to live with. But I do highly recommend this. I just wish it projected a bit more. Really, really good scent though. Next up is Nishane, or by the House of Nishane. It's called Hacivat, and this one has absolutely hit the hype train, and I think has probably taken over the hype train and run with it. I do only have, I think this is about a 4ml decant, but a little of this goes an incredibly long way. The performance on this is astronomical. It really is something else. I had a long day at work yesterday, and I came back, had my dinner, and I soaked in the bath for a good half an hour, which is my normal routine, and then kind of came into the living room and sat down with the wife, shared a bottle of wine and watched TV. What I did was I sprayed this, a small spray on the back of each hand before I came in. I worn it the other day, and I wanted to give it another go before I made the video, just to sort of make my mind up on it. And when I came into the living room wearing the Hacivat, my wife said, "What on earth are you wearing? My eyes are stinging." And that's off 2 small sprays on the back of each hand, so I can sit there and have a sniff. And literally it filled up the room. So the performance on this is astronomical. It goes on and on and on and on. If we look at the notes, it's all about fruit, wood and oak moss. And it is an oak moss bomb when it dries down. It lasts for days. I've worn this 3 times now, and I don't know if I like it, in all honesty. I can see why people do like it, because it's incredibly loud, it goes a long way, it's very expensive, but you get so much out. You wouldn't need to wear a lot, put it that way. It just powers through. I'm not sure about this, I'll be honest with you. My wife said it smells quite cheap, and Rich, the guy that I do questioning scents with, he's sort of tested it out as well, and he's a big Aventus fan. He wasn't keen either. He seems to think it smells quite cheap. It's not inoffensive when it dries down. It doesn't sit close to the skin, actually. It projects really, really well. But I think maybe the oak moss is quite heavy in it towards the end of its very long journey, so it might not be for everyone. Strongly suggest getting a sample of this. If the Orion had the performance of this, I would be in scent heaven, to be honest. Try it. So that's Hacivat by Nishane. I think it came out in 2017. It's from the Shadow, they call it the Shadow Play range. It's a Turkish house making a lot of noise at the moment, so well worth having a look at. I've got no urge to go out and buy a bottle of it, I'll be honest with you. It does smell good. It lasts a long time. A work in progress for me. I might get to like it the more I wear it. I'm not sure yet. I don't know. We'll leave that as I don't know. And finally, this is one that I've had a couple of decants of and I absolutely love. It's called The Scent of Peace for Man, and it's by Bond No. 9, an American house. It's been out for a while. It's certainly quite a popular scent. 2013 it came out. At the top we have bergamot, pineapple and juniper berries, and in the mid we have currant buds, and at the base you have cedar and vetiver. To me, I get sour, very fruity sour pineapple with a wood that comes in. The other notes to me aren't that massive. They're not that obvious in the lifespan of the Bond. This is a really good fragrance though. It's a fun fragrance. I certainly think it will suit the younger crowd more. I have heard that it's been reformulated. I don't know if that's true or not, but to me this lasts forever. It's absolutely nuclear in its performance. Not quite as much as the Nishane, sorry, but it does really, really well. I like this a lot, actually. In fact, of all of the ones we've looked at today, if I'm going to buy a full bottle of any of them, it will probably be the Bond No. 9, the centerpiece for him, the centerpiece for man. Sorry, it's the centerpiece for him, scent of peace for him. There you go. So take away what you will from that, and thanks very much for watching. Will I stop buying Aventus? Probably, yeah. I think I'm a bit over it. What will I buy instead? My next purchase, when I finish this decant, which will take quite a while, I think I'm definitely going to be looking at buying a full bottle of Bond No. 9's centerpiece for him. Really, really good scent. As always, I personally think anyone can wear anything as long as you're comfortable wearing it. Wear it, enjoy it, and have fun with your fragrances. So thank you very much for your time. As I say, I will be back shortly with another Aventus video, but that time I'll be looking at clones and cheaper clones than these, because all these niche that we've looked at today are expensive. They're not a cheaper alternative to Aventus. They're kind of sitting around the same place price-wise. So yeah, take what you like from that and enjoy it. And thank you very much for your time. Cheers. Bye-bye.